Welcome to Talk with CK, your cozy corner for heartfelt conversation. I'm CK, and in this space, we explore the beautiful, messy journey of growing up. Each week, I sit down with someone special as we share stories about the struggles that shaped us, the lesson that changed us, and the small moments of pride that made us who we are today. And I have a very special guest today. I always say that I have a special guest, but today is really a very special guest. Her name is Alice. Hi, Alice. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Alice. So Alice and I are classmates. So hello, classmate.
Right? Isn't that so funny? And here
Yes,
we are.
I never know at this age I would still have classmates. But, you learn until you, old or...
Until you die.
Yes. Alice, you are from New Jersey, right?
I am the armpit of America, as they say.
What does that mean, the armpit of America?
I mean, it physically looks like an armpit, kind of, but it also occasionally smells like an armpit and looks like an armpit. So just depends on, your viewpoint of New Jersey.
I have never been to New Jersey, but the only time that I was almost there was when I was in New York. They had this helicopter thing where you can ride the helicopter across New York and things like that. But I had to take the helicopter in New Jersey. And I said, no, I'm not going there. Like, this is too far. And it costs like thousands of dollars or something like that.
Gosh.
Sorry, I'm not going.
Yeah.
So I know that Jersey is just a little bit under New York. And it's not a very big state, right?
It's not very big. From top to bottom, it's maybe 3 hours, and then
3 hours drive.
East to west, maybe 2.5. So it's not huge compared to the rest
Do you
of the
live by the
country.
coast or do you live more inland?
Yeah, so
Your
New
family?
Jersey's kind of a weird mix. So North Jersey is right across the river from New York City. So it's a big city. There's lots and lots of people. It's the most densely populated city in the state in the country. So there's a ton of people. And then you have the whole coast where you're on the ocean. And then in the south, you have more beaches, but you also have what they call pine barrens. Like they grow cranberries there, and it's just kind of a weird marshy area. So it's interesting in terms of just the variety. And there's lots of farming in the western side. So it's kind of a unique state in that way.
How would you describe a typical New Jerseyan?
Yeah. Gosh. Well, it's funny moving to Thailand. Everyone's so polite and they don't say anything. And then I meet, like, I can pick somebody out from New York and New Jersey just by their attitude and how they speak. And like, they tell it like it is. They're very straightforward. They'll tell you what they like and don't like. We have a lot of Italian Americans, and a lot of the New York accent bleeds into parts of New Jersey. So it's a funny little mix of people.
And it's the main industry, I have a feeling, is it fishery?
There is quite a bit of farming, but there's also a ton of tourism. It's outside of the city. So there's a lot of companies that are there. I don't really know that answer.
It's all right. Tell me, how is it like growing up in Jersey? Then you were there until 12, 13?
So I was there, I went to college there, and then I was there until I was about 24 or 25. And then I moved to Texas, which was a bit of a cultural shock. But it's nice growing up there just because you have the ocean. And now that I haven't lived by an ocean in a long time, I'm really missing that. Like just going there after school or in summer camp, we would go there a lot. So that part was nice. There's a lot of people there. So it was difficult to find some peace. I mean, it's like town after town after town for the entire state. So it is very populated. But we did work, we're close to Philadelphia. We're close to Washington, D.C. It's close to New York City. So it's pretty easy to get around and go places. So that part's really nice.
And then you moved to Texas, and you said it was a cultural shock because Texas is sparsely populated, or you moved to Austin, Dallas? Which part?
I moved to Austin, which is the capital of Texas. And love Texas, but it is a slower way of living, and people are actually nice there, which was a really big change. Because people in the Northeast are not very nice. They're known for being kind of rude.
How long did you stay in Texas?
I lived in Austin for 7 years before I started traveling full time in the US. And it's funny because there was one time where I I went to work. I was working in TV news. So I was working at a news station. I was a producer. And I remember driving to work and I had to get there at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I remember some guy saying, "Hello, miss." And I was just from New Jersey. I was like ready to fight. I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you talking to me? And he's like, "I hope you have a great day." And I was like, "Thank you, you too, sir." Like, I had no idea that people were nice.
And that never happened in the
It was a shock.
Northeast.
No, you're just catcalled, you know? Like, people are just they're just there to no, people are not as nice.
Yeah, I would guess so. So then you lived in the Midwest also, and then you went and lived in a bus, I believe. Alice, tell us about that experience. Wow.
Yes, that was a heck of an experience. So right around the time of COVID, my ex and I bought a decommissioned school bus that we traveled in for a little over 2 years. We spent about 2 years building it, and then we traveled for 2 years. And that was a super cool experience and just changed who I was as a person.
But can I ask
Yeah, go
why?
ahead.
Why bus? Why? I mean,
Yeah, good
why?
question. So the fact that you can build something and personalize it to yourself and your own needs is really cool. It's also one of the safest vehicles on the road because it's made fully of steel versus it being made of other things. So that part was nice. And they're a lot cheaper. A lot of people go with sprinter vans that you see like the van life and stuff, but they can cost upwards of $50,000. So switching over to a school bus was a whole lot more affordable and safer. And so we went that route. So that took about 2 years to build and then started traveling for another 2 years.
Why? Why Alice the bus? I mean, why? Like I don't know anyone who lives in a bus.
Yeah, good question. A lot of people ask that. So, a few reasons. First, the original plane was a Sprinter van, but they are upwards of a finished one could be, $100,000, which is not the most practical. They're also the safest vehicles on the road. They're the only vehicle that's made 100% of steel. So, if there's an accident or a rollover, they barely have any damage. And there's just the option to customize it to how you want to live. So, that was really nice. They're also super cheap. In the US, school buses are required, or school districts are required to swap out their school buses every 10 years. So there's all of these school buses that really nobody can use. I bought the school bus for, I think, $6,000, which is really cheap. New they go for, 150,000. So getting one for 6,000, being able to customize it was really nice.
And do you do they give you a license for it? And do you have to park and you can't move, right? And it's just parked in a stationary place.
So you can drive them.
Oh,
Yeah, you can take them anywhere you want. Think of it like a Sprinter van, just way bigger. So you can take them anywhere you want. And for some reason, I don't know why this is, because it's definitely not safe. If you title it in the US as a motorhome or an RV or somewhere that you live and travel, you don't need to get a license. You don't need to get a special license for it. So you have people driving around 50-foot school buses and not needing anything special, which is wild to me.
and you lived there with your ex.
Yeah, so lived in it for 2 years. It was 30 feet, and in terms of square meters, it was about 14 square meters of living space.
So how would you sum up that experience? I mean, not living with another person in a quite confined space.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and a dog. It was certainly a challenge. You really learn in life what you need and don't need, because you have all of these things that you're like, "Oh, I love this and love that." But when it comes down to it, you don't really need it. So it really, especially when I first started getting rid of things to move into this lifestyle, it was a complete change of mindset. And when you go shopping, you can't just buy something because you don't have a spot for it. Like, you literally can't fit it, or it's getting left behind somewhere, or you're donating it. So you have to be very conscious of what you buy. You're not by any of your friends and family. You're not living in the same place. So I learned a lot about just being okay with myself, not having to chase hobbies or people or jobs. Like, you have to learn how to be alone a lot of the time, or just go out and meet people constantly, because by the time you meet people, you're about to leave. So it's really challenging to be on the road full time.
Right. I heard that from people who live full time on the cruise ship, because
Oh,
people come
yeah.
and go, and then you don't have like a constant friend, or you can't just like call a constant friend. But I want to know, what does that do to your relationship with your ex? Was that something you would advise? Like, oh, let's live in a transportation place together. Would you advise that? Because that's quite strenuous, I would
It
imagine.
is. Yeah, you really have to learn how to set boundaries because it's very easy to just fall into, you're spending a whole if both of you work remotely, which typically people do, or they're not working if they're on the road, you spend all day with that person and you're in a very close space. So like if you get into an argument, you can't just leave. If
Exactly. Like you
yeah,
can't just like, I need time for myself, and then but you guys are living in
right,
that
right,
space.
right. First, you have to know what your needs are or figure them out real fast because you realize after, if you're sitting there for a month, like, oh my gosh, I haven't had any time to myself. Oh my gosh, I need time to myself. You have to learn like what your needs are, how to give yourself them, not offend the other person. It's definitely a balancing act. And you learn so much about yourself in the process. So that part was really nice.
I like it that you, even though it's tough, you still appreciate the experience. So you're currently living in an area called Thonglo in Bangkok. So is this your first time living outside the United States?
Yeah, yeah. So met my current boyfriend, and we were actually thinking about moving to Denver, Colorado, in the United States. And we were looking up. We're committed. We're like, all right, let's look for some jobs. Let's go out there, and we just did all the math, and we realized that we would be living because the cost of living there is so high. We realized we would be living paycheck to paycheck if we were both working full time making decent money, we would still barely be cutting it because the costs there are so high. So one day he sent me a TikTok video of somebody living in Bangkok and what their life looked like. It was an American about what their life looked like in Thailand. And I'd actually looked up how to get a visa here a couple of years ago. And so he sent me that video. We were like, this might actually be a practical option. So I had never been to Bangkok, but I'd been around Asia, and he had never even been to Asia at all. And we both just applied for the
Wow.
visa and we came here. So this is our first time that we both lived outside of the US.
Wow. So I have so many questions because this is the first time you're living in Asia, and plus you've
Hmm.
never been to Bangkok. So bring
Yeah.
me back a little bit. Your first stay in Thailand, overall, how was it? Was it overwhelming? Your senses are being attacked left and right. How was it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the one thing about me that I've learned in the past is I will get so excited about an idea and then I'll commit to it, not actually like I'll fall in love with an idea and then once I get there, I didn't think anything through after that. So
Mhm.
for this time, I wanted to be like, okay, I want to know what I'm getting into. So we watched hours and hours of YouTube videos and TikToks. I mean, like we would be sitting there. There was one guy that made a 3-hour video about all of his favorite spots in Thailand, and we would just sit there and we would watch them, and just to have an idea of what, like, when we walk outside, what is it going to look like? What is, not that you can know the smells, but like, what are we going to smell? What are the people going to be like? Like, just getting a really good understanding. So by the time I'd gotten here, I had a pretty good sense of what it was going to be like. Definitely overwhelming. I went from taking my dog on hikes in nature off leash 3 to 4 days a week and living, in a very naturey, outdoor, green area to the middle of the city where there's no privacy at all. So that part was difficult, but knowing that I could leave at any time, like go to a different part of the country at any time, was enough to try it out and not be afraid of what if I don't like it kind of
And now that you're here, you look back to all those YouTube videos you watch.
thing.
Was it accurate at all? This is really, I want to find out. Like, do
Yeah,
these YouTubers really? I mean, I'm a YouTuber, as you know, but I try not to sensationalize things. But
right.
what do you think? Like those YouTubers that you watch and follow?
They were pretty spot on. I think
Okay.
honestly, one of the things that helped me most, there was, I think it was Chris Parker, but he's a YouTuber that lives in Thailand, and he went out during Songkran with his camera, and all he did was record. It was about a 45-minute video of him just holding his camera walking.
No
That was it.
narration.
No narration. Like, he did a little bit of narration, but it was strictly just walking around, taking in the setting. And that was so helpful because I could actually see the way people interact. You don't get these really curated shots of people, or don't stand on, like,
Highly edited.
turn. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, like, you're not like, oh, let me turn this way to get this in the background. It was completely raw, and that was honestly one of the most helpful videos for me to really understand what it was going to be like actually coming here.
So to the listening to people who are listening and watching this video, I knew Alice because Alice is my classmate in Thai class.
Yay.
So it's been really a ride, right, Alice? Like all these lessons that we're taking. How
Yeah.
are you doing in the class?
Oh, it's been an experience. As I mentioned to you before recording, there were lots of crying in the beginning. I had no idea, as we talked about, this feels like a full-time job because you have 2
Do
hours
you
of
know
class.
do you know any other language than English, by the way?
I can get around in Spanish, and I know a bit of American Sign Language, neither of which helped me at all learning Thai. So that was great. The tonal thing is really throwing me for a little loop there too.
I must say, Alice, you're doing very, very well.
Thanks.
I mean, it's not fair to say who does well and not well because we really have a leg up because of the tone, because we know tones. I speak
Right.
Mandarin, I speak a bunch of languages, so we know tone. So it's easy for us to kind of recalculate, but we have our own challenges. But we do have
For
a leg
sure.
up because some of the words, some of the concept we can grab pretty easily. But it's been very brave of you to take on this task. And what is the advice that you would give for Americans wanting to learn Thai at this point? Of what you learned so far?
Yeah, trying to learn Spanish, I would always, dabble on the apps and do Duolingo or any of the other ones. And I wasn't really making any progress. I completely understand why people do these intensive classes now. I've learned more in 1 month of learning Thai than I probably would in 6 months studying on my own or doing certain
Yes.
lessons. So I would highly recommend that anyone interested in learning a language throw themselves in. Maybe not to this degree if you have anything else going on in your life. If you're working, like, I can't imagine working full time and doing this. You'd have no time for anything else. But
Yeah.
I would recommend doing something that's more intensive. And as my boyfriend told me after all my days of crying, he said, you have to pick and choose what you want to learn from your class. You might not need to know all the words about transportation in terms of driving, but you know how to hail a taxi and tell them where you're going. So he was
Yeah.
kind of like, be selective about what you're taking away, only learn those things, and the rest will kind of come to you, which was very helpful to not. I just felt like I had to know all of it all the time. And so that was really overwhelming for me. But it's been great so far. Just
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And
been really good.
I watched you you're doing very well, Alice. I personally saw you how you progress. I know today's class was very tough. So for those of you listening, we're doing 2 hours every day, Monday to Friday. I've never also done such intensive class. But I think talking and interacting and asking questions and interacting with your classmate really helps, right? Like
For
it's not
sure.
passive learning, and we help each other, we support each other, and you feel like you're not alone. That's how I feel, and that's how
Yeah.
I think we progress quite fast.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. Like, we
And it's
make jokes
fun.
to each other, we make
Yeah.
mistakes, and it's funny. Well, there's times where they get to me after 15 people have gone, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. So
So
it's fun.
you've never been to Bangkok, and so how do you feel about the city and the people there?
I really like it. So far, so good. Yeah, I worked in New York City for a few years, and I knew that I did not want that again. And we
Mm.
originally were talking about going to Chiang Mai, but I couldn't fly my dog to Chiang Mai, and he
Oh.
already took like 26 hours to get to Bangkok. And I was like, I can't throw him in a car and drive another 10 hours. So we're like, you know what? Let's spend 6 months in Bangkok and see how we like it. And I actually love it. I do miss
Mm.
having green space. I do miss being able to go hiking every other day, but Bangkok's awesome. There's just so much to do. It's super affordable compared to the US. The food is great. The people are super nice. Like, I've really been enjoying it so far.
And so far, what's your favorite food in Bangkok? I know we learned so much about food in our class today.
Yeah, I don't okay. I am a dessert girl, so the mango sticky rice does have my heart, but the pad krapao is really good. I've been
Mm,
mostly eating that.
mm.
Tom yum is really good. I usually just point, and half the time I don't know what I'm even getting. So there's that.
I know, like, I feel like Thai dessert is very underrated. Not a lot of people, including myself, know much more about Thai dessert than mango sticky rice. There is a whole orchestra, Alice, of the
Yeah,
dessert. I'm going to show you one day what they really have. They are
yeah,
so creative. Everything coconut, everything jelly,
yes.
everything ice cream, and they can mix like hundreds of ingredients and make something new.
Hmm.
Dessert, what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. If I'm in Bangkok, I'm gonna show you what they really have. Like,
I
really
would
have.
love that.
For example,
Yes.
to cool down in a hot day, to fix your sweet tooth, they have so much that the Western world or outsider rarely get a glimpse of because they are very complex also. And because of their ingredients are exotic, and then the jelly that I've never seen it anywhere else, the beans that they use. So I'm going to show
Mhm.
that to you one day. The food is just fantastic there, right?
Yeah. And there's so much food from other cultures. I
Also,
mean, I'm eating Thai food probably 2 or 3 times a week, but I'm also eating Nepalese food. I'm eating Italian food, Indian food. There's just a Japanese food. There's so much here that there's just so much opportunity for food. Love
so
it.
what is then a challenge? You've moved here, you moved to Tonglo now. What was the challenge? Was it to find a place to live? Any challenges with your dogs,
Oh
safety
gosh.
wise?
Yeah,
What would
yeah.
be
So the most difficult thing was finding housing because A, having a dog is very challenging. B, having a big dog is even more challenging.
gosh,
And C, we wanted a 6-month lease instead of a year, which
yeah,
was almost impossible. Like I had
almost
to,
impossible, yeah.
oh my gosh, it took so long. And then I was also like I could spot a scam a mile away in the States. I didn't know what scams looked like here. So we got here and I was like,
Mm.
I hope this condo exists. Like we didn't even know, like we were afraid to really have deliveries come before we got here just because we weren't sure if the condo really existed. Like we did enough of our own research and we did our due diligence when we could, but we really had no way to know if we were being scammed, if the person that we were talking to was real. Like it was a challenge, but we did end up finding one place and it's beautiful, as you could see, and so we love it. So thankful that worked out, but having a dog here has been really rough.
Well, for those who don't know Bangkok, Tonglo is actually a very affluent place to live, and I highly recommend for any tourist who is first time in Bangkok because it's also near the BTS, the green line that brings you anywhere. So
Yeah.
I really highly recommend people to live if you want to live like 2-3 months there. It's a perfect place because people there speaks English and the
Yeah.
streets are sa'at. It's clean in Tonglo.
Yeah, yeah, and the sidewalks are not completely falling apart everywhere, which is really nice when you have a dog. And
So
there's a
Alice, you
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, one thing I always thought was interesting before I got here was the fact that people would live here for 10 years and not really know any Thai. Like, I met a guy last week, he's been here for 25 years and barely knows any Thai at all. He
Yeah.
said he knows about 20 words, and I was like, "How is
Yeah.
that possible to not
That
just
is
pick it up?"
very that is very shameful. I also knew one guy who stays
Yeah.
at Ekamai. He was in Ekamai for 23 years. Not a like Kopun Cup, that's all he knows. I like that's so shameful. I
Yeah,
mean, hello.
it takes away from the experience, but
Yeah.
living in Tonglaw, I understand why now. There's so many people, specifically in this area, that speak English that you don't have to know any Thai to do anything at all.
It's true.
I don't know the last time I went somewhere. Obviously, I try to speak Thai as much as I can, but I don't remember the last time I went somewhere where there was nobody that spoke any English. And now I understand why people can be here for so long and not pick up on it just hearing it.
No, when I was living in Germany, I feel like if I don't know the language, I don't understand what's going on around me. And I
Yeah.
literally forced myself. And those days, Alice, there were no smartphone, no Facebook. That's how old I am. No smartphone,
Yeah.
no Facebook, nothing, which is actually a good thing. But I was surrounded. And those days, the TV, the movies are all dubbed in German. There are no subtitles. There are
Ah.
no even subtitles. So I would watch The View or something, but it's in German. So I do think it takes away all that experience.
For
And
sure.
now, yes, and now when I can start to read Thai and I can hear what the people in the streets are actually saying, it's very exciting. It's like a new life again, right, Alice?
It is, and now I'm starting to like I'll see a sign that's written. The other challenge is I can't read Thai. I can read the English version of Thai, but I can't actually read Thai. So that's a challenge. But I'm
Mhm.
starting to understand what words mean. Like I went somewhere last week and it was called Aroe Kitchen, and I was like, oh, delicious kitchen. And
Yeah,
then
well done.
and then I saw a sign that was it said like oh my I think it said like oh my gao, and then something was on sale for like $9, 9 baht or
Uh-huh.
something like that. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh, they're making a play because Gao is 9. So like
Yeah,
little
Gao.
things like that, just being able to
Yeah.
pick up on little things is really nice and have an idea of what's going on around me.
Well, anytime you need a partner to practice Thai, I'm there for you because I want to practice Thai too.
You're the best.
So
Thank you.
yeah, no. This we have to. You cannot be passive learning. You have to practice.
I agree.
And yesterday I went to see a movie, and then we went in the elevator, and two Thai girls came in, and I exactly know what they were talking about. This
Oh
they
my
say they
gosh,
want to
that's
go.
so exciting.
They say they want to go to the second floor, and we just learned floor is Chan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of myself.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Alice, you are a voice actor, right? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Tell me how did you get it? You are the first voice actor I ever knew. So tell me how you got into that profession,
Yeah, so
this profession.
I worked in advertising for a while and I worked in TV, so I
Oh,
had an understanding of what voice actors did and I'd hired a couple
oh,
for my work. And then I did a couple of voiceovers at my job just because it was fun for me and I didn't know anything, but I did a couple for my companies, whatever. And then when COVID hit, I needed a job that I could work while traveling full time in the school bus. And so I said, you know what? I'll just make an account on Fiverr.com and I'll see how it goes. Maybe I can get a couple jobs. I'll pay for some gas. And the whole thing just took off. I
oh,
quit my job about 2 months later, my full-time job,
mm.
because I was making enough money to not work there anymore. And so I've been doing that ever since.
What do you voice? Do you voice cartoons? Do you voice narration?
Yeah, so there's typically a few people will usually specialize in one thing or another. The ones that are kind of different, that video games and cartoons are kind of their own little world. It's very there's such specialized training that goes into that usually that's kind of its own category.
Hmm.
I've done a couple games, I've done a couple things in that realm, but typically I'll do commercial work, so radio and TV commercials. I will do corporate narration. So if you go to a company's website and they have a video that shows who they are, what they do. I also do a lot of phone recordings. So if you call a company and you hear like, thanks for calling Toyota, and they'll go into the menu, that kind of stuff. So those are typically the work that I do, but there's all sorts of categories. There's meditations, there's, like I said, phone recordings, there are movie trailers, there's people who do, what is it called? Audio description. So for people
Mm.
who are blind, they have to
Wow.
like they'll hear the directions. A woman in a white shirt and blue jeans walks across the screen towards her boyfriend. Like
Right. So
they'll
like
describe what's going on.
describing the scene.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. There's so many, it's such a broad range of things. It's really, really fun.
Wow. So I just watched a AI video on this reporter interviewing the passenger on the Titanic.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that video was, I'm going to send you, that video was just incredible.
Yeah.
Very realistic.
Yeah.
Someone also sent me a picture, a quiz, like, CK, which one of these people are AI and which ones are real? I got it
Oh, yeah.
completely wrong. So this is the big word now, right, Alice?
Mhm.
AI. What do you think it will do to your profession?
Oh gosh,
What's
yeah,
happening?
it's already had a huge impact, and I knew it was coming, so I started preparing for it a while ago, but it is devastating a lot of industries, including
Gosh.
voice acting. I will say, speaking on behalf of just myself, my work has definitely dropped since it's gotten popular. Um, I'm just trying to right now, it's basically weeding out the people who are not as good. So basically, if you can
Wow.
be replaced by AI, then you're obviously not going to get as much work. But if you are a good voice actor, you're usually going through different channels. Like you're going through an agent to get a job. They're going to keep hiring real people. So it's definitely had an impact. It's definitely coming in hot, and it's gonna keep happening. And I think there's gonna be a huge reduction in the amount of people that are able to do that full time or that be their only job. So I'm just trying to kind of switch gears. And the good thing about being self-employed and having your own business is you can kind of go in any direction. So that's where I just kind of looked at the opportunity and said, okay, what can I use my skills for? And so I went into
Mhm.
more UGC videos, which are user generated content. So
Oh,
companies,
user-generated content.
yeah, so
Ah,
people will come to me and say, "Hey, I have this cup and I want you to make a video for this cup."
oh,
And I'm like, "Okay." So they'll send me the product and I'll make a video for it. I'm also
mm,
doing a lot of online workshop facilitation. So
mm.
companies will hire me to lead people through a workshop online. So really just trying to be prepared to fully pivot at any time.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Be prepared to pivot anytime.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to us during COVID. Some people cannot. Some people was prepared for it. It's really scary time in terms of things can change so quickly, right, Alice?
You
Like I
never
can't even keep
know.
up. Like
Yeah.
I can't keep up. Seriously.
Yeah.
So I also admired you not being, petrified of all of this because some people really are. For some people, it's their rice bowl. That's it. Like they
Yeah.
don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Pivot is one thing. And what do you think the trend will be when AI comes in for
For
your
voice actors,
profession?
but oh gosh, I really don't know. About a year ago, a lot of people were like, "It's not gonna impact us that much. It's fine. Don't worry about it." People are getting overreact, like, oh, people are overreacting about it, and it's coming.
Yeah.
My
I mean,
viewpoint is it's coming.
so, in terms of what it can do, I have a friend who actually asked AI for fortune telling, and she scanned her palm, she scanned her face, she gave the AI her birth date, her whatever constellation, whatever, and people are using for that. I have a friend who use it for financial advices,
Yeah.
like I'm making this how much, and then by the time I retired, how much I get from Social Security, and then I have a friend who basically say I have a cough yesterday and this cough like sounds like
Mm,
this, and then
mm.
she uploaded the sound of the cough
My
and then got diagnosis by
God.
AI. Then I have a friend who broke up with his partner and was devastated, and he used AI to like a counseling,
Yeah.
and he said he that was the best thing ever because he recovered because every night he was talking to AI, like, oh, I feel lonely. Then also, because now we're learning Thai, and also someone suggested me to practice Thai with AI,
Yeah.
which people recommended me to as well. It's crazy. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I'm a little concerned about how many jobs are gonna be replaced. That's a
Yes.
scary part for me
Yeah.
is it's so convenient to just
Yeah.
use AI. Yeah.
And my last guest, she's from China. The last episode that I taped was a friend from China, and she's saying that industry follows money, and
Mhm.
industry is smelling, especially the car industries are smelling the opportunities because she now owns a car that can park by itself,
Yeah.
and she and the car is studying her, so she likes it when the parking is a bit skewed to it leaves more space for her to open the
Uh,
door on her side. So the
um,
car is studying her behavior and her preferences, and she loves it. And I said, no way I'm gonna have a car who knows what I think. So what do you think? Do you think we should embrace it, or do you think we have no choice, or do you think no, I'm not gonna give this is all about data collection,
yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
collecting data from you, knowing who Alice is. What do you think I feel like you're a free spirit person, independently thinking. What do you think about your own perception on company collecting data from you?
Yeah, that part definitely freaks me out. And I know to some extent, like it's been being taken all the time, whether you sign up for something online or you're in a data breach, it's happening all the time. But I would like to limit it. There's just so many negative things that can be done with your information. And like I said before, I'm also concerned about the number of jobs. Like I remember one time, so back home, if you can drive through a toll, so they take your money, whatever. And there's two ways. They can either take a picture of your license plate or you can go to a person and pay through the person. And I remember one day I went to the person because I didn't have something. And I forget what happened. But I think I mentioned wanting to go to their lane and they said, why? And I told them and they said, oh, I thought you were trying to like keep me employed. And
Mm,
it never dawned on me that
dawn on you. Yeah.
when I make that choice, not only am I losing these human connections, these human interactions that make us who we are, I'm also taking somebody's job away from them.
Yes.
So between that stuff and the data collection, and it's just creepy that there's always something knowing everything about you. I try to avoid using that stuff when I can, but you also can't avoid it in a lot of situations anymore.
What do you think foreigners get wrong about American or America in general?
I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of the stereotypes because I haven't spent a ton of I mean, I've traveled outside the country, but I mean, I think a lot of people think Americans are rude. I would think because they see New York a lot. Is that one
Well,
of them?
I can tell you a few.
Yeah.
What I think, and then when I went there, some true, some not true.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is overweight, huge people. Like in the airport in New York, I was the thinnest person.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is great.
Yeah. It's been
Like you would be
interesting.
the thinnest person.
It's been interesting coming here because just going to the grocery store, things are so much healthier. The portion sizes are way smaller. Like
Smaller, yeah,
way
yeah.
smaller. Like
Yeah.
or like you go to, like we've got like a pack of Oreos and 3 Oreos came in the pack and we were like,
Yes.
3?
Yes.
3 Oreos?
I was in New York, so I wanted to buy one piece 1 and the pizza was like this.
Huge.
I'm like, how am I going to eat this? I need a whole family
Yeah.
to come and eat this
Yeah.
one piece. It was very cheap though, but one piece is like,
Right.
no wonder. I guess you guys have a lot of resources. You're agricultural
Yeah.
country and you can find this very cheaply.
It's the portion sizes are bigger. We also put sugar in everything.
Everything.
Everything
God, I'm
has
like-
sugar in it. And then also I feel like a lot of American roots and just with time, a lot of it's been about excess and having more than you need. And that's like your way of presenting who you are or greeting people. And it's a lot about excess and just having more. And our portion sizes are so big.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to tell you was the thing that I got right was I always think Americans are the most creative person in terms of like almost every industry, fashion, entertainment. So I was in Austin and then I was hanging around and waiting for my flight and suddenly I hear beautiful singing in the airport. I'm like, wow. So I ran towards the band and there was just a group of African American and they were just singing some pop song. And I was like, wow, if this is in KL, if this is in Malaysia, people would pay huge bucks of money to see it. I don't know who these people are, but they sang so beautifully. And of course, Hollywood, no wonder you guys have Hollywood because the actors and the professionalism that I found it's very true. Like you guys can, write pop songs and it transcends all the cultural stuff. And you guys have one of the best talent that I would say.
Which is
Like you guys have like the
sorry.
biggest star,
Got
the
it,
biggest
got it.
singer, talents, boy group, boy band. You guys top the charts, and what you guys produce transcends culture. It can top the charts in India. It can top the charts in China. It transcends all the culture. The work that is produced out of the talents of Americans.
Right.
That's what I wanted to.
Got it. Sorry, I thought you were saying like one artist was the best, and I was like, "Ooh, who is it? Like, are you a Swiftie or something?" I agree though, and that's been another thing that I'm still getting used to. Like, I went to a bar last week that was all locals, and everyone in the crowd knew every single word to the Taylor Swift song she sang. Or you go to the movie theater, and it's 5 out of the 10 movies are American-made movies, and it really is teaching me just how big of an influence it has in entertainment. Yeah, I
Huge.
never knew people knew artists outside of that. Yeah, it's wild. I never considered just how much.
When I started learning English, and our first lesson was about 10 years old. And when I started learning English, the teacher said, just listen to pop song. And that particular week, Tina Turner was topping the charts. And
Yeah.
her song was What's Love Got to Do with It? That's how old I am. And then I remember hearing that song. I was like, wow, who wrote these songs? And who is Tina Turner? She's
Mhm.
amazing. Like, I think it's the history of America and how so many different people living in a country that has quite an abundance of space and freedom to create. That's
Yeah.
amazing for a lot of us.
Yeah, and it's so big. I mean, driving from New York to California, it's about a
Mm,
42-hour drive. So it is
mm.
massive. Not to
Massive.
mention you
Yeah.
have the north to south. Like it's a huge country and there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of money there and
Mm.
the people, they talk about the American dream, but it really does happen for some people and you have people that completely blow up and yeah, it's a global influence. It's pretty wild.
So look back now, what was the best advice? You've lived a very colorful life, Alice, I feel. What was the best advice in life that you got that you can share with our audience?
Somebody said this to me in regards to voice acting, but I think it applies in a much bigger mindset.
Mm,
When I was learning voice acting, I was really struggling to not sound like I was reading a script. Because you learn all these
mm,
things and you try to do them, and then you try too hard and you try to sound like somebody else. And one of the
mm.
best tips I got as a voice actor that I've applied elsewhere is forget everything you've ever learned about voice acting. And just in a bigger sense, we're told what to do. We have expectations of other people. We put rules and goals in our heads, and then we end up not living a life that we want to live. And I think just trying to forget everything we're taught and what we're told to do and just live a life that feels good for you and makes you happy is so important.
Whether you succeed, you fail, it's part of life.
Yeah, and like failing, people look at failing as such a bad thing and they don't want to go again, but failing is what makes us who we are. Not to be corny, but that's what makes us who we are.
It's very true.
I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't make 1,000 mistakes and end up, in the wrong place or with the wrong person or whatever else. And now I'm actually living a life where I know what I want and I know what I need and I can make positive choices for myself and not worry about, well, what is this person thinking of me? So
Mm.
being able to live authentically is so underrated.
Thank you. That's a good advice. Sorry, I'm a bit carried away of what you're saying, but my last question is, looking back now, Alice, what is the proudest thing you can share with us?
I'm going to curse for a second. I think just saying fuck it and just not being afraid to do things that I want to do. Like I wasn't afraid to quit my job and try my business and see how it went. I wasn't afraid
Wow.
to travel full time. I wasn't afraid to come to Bangkok. Like just being courageous is probably the thing that I'm most proud of. When people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're living the dream." And I'm like, "I just made this decision on a whim and here I am." But
Mm.
it is really cool that when I die, whether it's tomorrow or if it's in 50 years from now, I'm not going to have a regret. I'm not going to wish I did something or anything of the sort. I can just be happy with the decisions I made and be proud of myself.
You're proud that you're fearless.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to write that
Yes,
one down.
yes.
I'll put that
And
on my
I'm gonna
tombstone.
I'm repeating this again because I said that in the last taping with my last guest, but I'm gonna say this again. Somebody told me, my father told me this. He said, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I think,
Oh,
yes, yes. And
love
I
that.
think Alexander the Great said, conquer fear and then you conquer life. Like,
Ah, it's the
I'm
truth
sure
though.
he's the best person to say that because he
Yeah,
conquered the
right.
whole world at 27 or something
No biggie. No
and
biggie.
had a boy lover or something, and then he just did what he wanted
Good for
and then died
him.
at 27.
That's true. That part kind of sucks. But he didn't have any regrets and he would have answered that question and be like, I conquered fear.
Yes, yes. I think conquering fear is, I know people who likes to have a very stable life with a stable partner, with a stable job, and then doing the same thing every week, doing the same thing every weekend. And I looked at the and I look at the it I look at this person, it's like, is that all to its life? Like, is that all you want to do until, everything ends and you close your
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, life, the word life in Chinese, in Thai, it's very special. So I said, just live yourself to the fullest.
Yeah,
And
for
with that,
sure.
and with that, Fearless Alice, thank you for talking with CK.
Thank you so much. This
I
was so
cannot
fun.
wait to meet you in person. I probably
know.
go there soon, but I'll
I
let
hope
you
so.
know.
Please
Yes.
do. We'll go get some sticky rice. Mango
Yes,
sticky rice.
I heard it's not much rain this time in Bangkok.
The past 2 weeks, there haven't been much. And the first,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
the first month I was here, it rained every single day. So I am very excited that the last 2 weeks or so, there hasn't been much. So now's not a bad time if you want to take a short little flight over.
And this is it for the episode for my friend Alice. And we'll have new guests next week. Sign up to my newsletter on my website, and also more episodes to come. Thank you, Alice. Bye.